Hi, my name's Steve and welcome to the Seaside Allotment channel. And I'm just chilling out in the polytunnel before I get started on the allotment. And it's kind of my time to reflect now because we've just almost finished really, the transition from the winter and early spring crops to the summer crops. And so we're just going to be ticking over on the allotment now, concentrating really on harvesting until September, October time, when we do the next transition to the winter crops. So it's just a really relaxing few months, and I like to use that time to start planning for what I'm going to do in autumn and winter, and also just start mulling over how things are going and what I'm going to be doing next year. So I just thought I'd make this quick video about my thoughts on this topic so far, and I'll just look back really at the objectives that I set myself for 2019. So I really wanted to increase the yield of the allotment in March and April time, and I had this idea really that March and April is just fantastic growing weather normally, provided you've got some shelter for your plants and some you can cover them with polythene or fleece or something. So I did a lot of work on that, and I actually quadrupled my harvest in March and April compared to last year. So I can tick that one off really as achieved. We just had massive harvests all through that time. In fact, some of the harvests were as big as our summer harvests, midsummer harvests. So I was really pleased with that, and I've achieved that objective. So the second one is to cover all my costs. It's important that this is a zero cost hobby for me, and again by the middle of April I've harvested enough fruit and veg to cover all my costs for the whole of 2019, and that's just with the direct savings on our food bill. So I'm really happy that that's not the harvest value. The harvest value blew through that objective a long time ago, but some of that harvest goes to our friends and family. It's not all a saving directly for us. So I've covered all my costs over a month ago, and I've harvested, as I say, a huge amount, and that's allowed me to increase the amount that we gift to family, and that's been really important to me. And one of my other daughters is coming back from university, and she's settling in the area as well. So I should be able to start feeding her and her partner very soon. So that's really exciting. So what other objectives have I got really? So I'm always trying to reduce my workload, and so one of the things I've done to try and achieve that is that I'm dramatically reducing the amount of stuff that I grow in pots in summer. Now you'll see pots above me here, and there's pots all around me in the polytunnel at the moment. But those pots are really useful in winter and spring and autumn, but they're just a pain from a watering perspective in summer. So I'm probably still going to have 3 or 4 pots, but just not very many in the middle of summer, and that just dramatically reduces my workload. So that's really good. But generally speaking now, my other big objective was to harvest £10,000 worth of fruit and veg this year, and I'm pretty confident that I'm going to achieve that now, because we've already harvested so much this year. I mean, we're almost by the end of May we'll have harvested well over £3,000 worth, and that's compared to just over £1,000 worth last year. So we're already well on target, and so that's just not a very exciting objective for me now, just to keep on harvesting more and more. We're already feeding everybody, all of our close friends and family, and so what's the point really in harvesting anymore? I'm not selling it, I'm just gifting it. It's just more work. So my objective is turning to an ever richer and higher quality diet for me and the friends and family. and that means, you know, more variety of stuff, higher quality food, and you know, especially at the ends of the seasons. So, you know, more varieties and higher quality food in spring, and the same in autumn. Summer sort of takes care of itself. So, you know, and over winter we don't harvest for friends, we only harvest for family, and so, you know, that's a lot easier to achieve, you know, self-sufficiency in winter. There's always plenty to eat over winter, I find, but spring, the hungry gap can be a bit of a challenge, and same with autumn. So yeah, so you know, having achieved effectively my objectives for 2019, you know, what are my new objectives effectively? Because I always like a little bit of a challenge, and so I'm going to redesign the way we're doing the allotments. We're already transitioning Debbie's allotment to a perennial allotment plot, and that's going really well. She's got a really lovely range of fruit and herbs on there, and it's got some perennial kales, a couple of different types of perennial kales, globe artichokes, and, you know, all sorts of stuff, and so that's a nice low workload, beautiful way to garden, really. Jenny's plot has done really well. Our objective with that plot is for it to be minimal workload. You know, it's really is the plant and forget it plot to a large extent. It's full of fruit trees, and it's full of brassicas, primarily brassicas that are, again, plant and forget them. So they're the colettes and the sprouts and the red cabbages and you know, the like, which, you know, you're not going to touch any of those until autumn. So all the way through summer, basically, it's just, you know, watering and looking after the plants, you know, just to make sure they're healthy. So that's simple. And then it's all alliums, you know, garlic, onions, and those sorts of things, which again won't get touched until midsummer. Yeah, so it's very easy, and I think that between Jenny, Debbie and I, in total we probably spend less than, well, definitely less than 3 hours a week on that plot. It's very easy to manage. My plot continues to be a significant workload. I probably spend maybe an hour and a half a day or something like that on average on my plot, maybe, you know, up to 2 hours in summer when the watering workload is higher, and obviously the harvest workload is high as well. So I keep on trying to figure out ways to reduce my workload, and one of those ways is to reduce the amount of watering, as I said. You know, so I'm doing a lot of thick mulches this year, a lot less stuff in pots, transitioning more beds to perennial beds. So the next thing I'm trying to do is more interplanting. So I've done one example of that where I've got trees down the middle of a bed. I've got garlic on the outside of those trees. I've got shallots in the centre, in between the trees, and then I've got strawberries down the edge. So that's a really nice interplant. We've done some other interplanting schemes where we've got strawberries and, say, elephant garlic down the centre, and then later on in the season we'll be putting broad beans, awesome harvest broad beans, in place of the garlic down the centres. So, you know, it's quite complicated interplanting, and so, you know, it's taken me a while. I've been gardening for 3 years now. It's taken me a while to really get the confidence to start doing that and getting the timings right for it, and making sure that the plants work well together, and that you're kind of not starving plants of nutrients or water at the wrong times of year. So things like broad beans, and strawberries are good because, you know, the strawberries are pretty much heading into dormancy in the autumn when those broad beans are active. So, you know, that's a nice combination. So yeah, that's my plan really for the rest of 2019 and 2020, is more interplanting, you know, continued emphasis on reducing water usage, and more, you know, varieties, planting things that, you know, are not the highest yielding fruit and veg, but things that really add to the richness of the diet. So an example of that would be more berries, for example. So berries, you know, have a relatively short season. Seems like a bit of a waste of the ground really for, you know, such a short period of time, but of course they're just absolutely fantastic to eat. And once you're at the point like we are, where, you know, we're completely self-sufficient in veg, so there's not a lot of point growing any more veg. You know, as I said, we you know, we feed 20 to 30 people with veg, and so we can cut back on that. You know, we can cut back to say maybe 18 people, but have a much richer diet for those 18 people, and especially a much richer diet for a close family. So yeah, that's the plan. And I don't know whether, you know, me just rambling on about my plans is interesting to anybody, but anyway, there we go. So with that, I will see you soon.